This video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN, link in the description below. Welcome to Electrified, it's your host Dylan Loomis. Hopefully you're having a great week, especially after Tesla's impressive Q3 earnings. Quick shout out to my newest patrons, Bill, Neil, Amir, Green Fingers, Marcus, Roberto, Mr. Via, Jody, and Vigor. Greatly appreciate the support, and that video about what I'm buying at the moment and how I plan to take my Bitcoin profits will be coming in the next day or two. Fell way down the rabbit hole last night researching some things with regard to Tesla's Q3, so sorry for the delay. Getting into it, I'm not going to regurgitate the information that you've heard over and over the last 24 hours. I'm just going to pick out a few key points and try to present it with a different spin to give you a different perspective than what I think you've been hearing over the last day or so. So first of all, obviously margins were very impressive, but let's take a look at this. Operating expenses for Tesla in Q1 of this year, $1.6 billion. Tesla's income from those operations that same quarter were $594 million. Okay, fast forward to this quarter, Q3. Operating expenses pretty much holding steady, $1.7 billion. But the income from operations this quarter was $2 billion. So from Q1 to Q3, Tesla's operating expenses went up about $100 million. In that same time frame, their income from operations, otherwise known as EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes, went up about $1.4 billion. So over the trailing 12 months, Tesla's operating expenses have hovered between $1.2 and $1.7 billion per quarter. Now, during this same time frame, their operating margins have went from around 5% to now 15% operating margins in just a few quarters, which is really unprecedented. And to give you some more context, listen to this. Ford did $1.1 billion in EBIT, income from operations, in Q2 of this year, the most recent data we have, on $27 billion in revenue for a 4.5% operating margin. As mentioned, Tesla did $2 billion in EBIT on about half of the revenue, on $13.8 billion in revenue, which leads to a 15% operating margin, which is just EBIT divided by revenue. This was done with a stock-based compensation of $190 million in the quarter. So very, very impressive numbers here. And real quick, before I move on, this rounded for memorization, just a little tip. When you're going over numbers like this, if you want to actually try to remember these for conversation points or what have you, it's way easier to just drop off that first decimal point, especially when it's a number that decimal point isn't really a material change to the figure. So rather than, 5.2% or 15.8%, just round it to the nearest whole percentage, and that'll be much easier for you to retain more information. Because sequentially, going back to Q3 of last year, Tesla went 9%, 5%, 5%, 11%, and then this quarter they were at almost 15%. But moving on, Tesla looking to triple their supercharger network means that they will approach 100,000 supercharger connectors by the end of the year 2023, roughly, and 10,000 stations globally. And if you're someone that doesn't love getting into the weeds of Tesla financials and you just want a quick way to analyze each financial report without spending too much time, this is how I personally would do it. And these are 3 checks just for growth, not for efficiency. So just look at the revenues. Q3 this year, 13.8. Compare it to the same quarter the prior year. That'll give you the best comparison. 57% growth, doing the math, check above Tesla's 50% growth targets. As you can see with deliveries, they're at 73% growth from Q3 this year to Q3 last year. Check. And then energy storage, same thing. I'm not even worrying about solar at this point. It's still in such an infancy stage and not really a material part of Tesla's business yet. And one caveat here, of course, sure, in Q3 of 2020, there may have been a one-off factor that impacted the revenue of that quarter, so you should be aware of those things. But generally speaking, this is a quick and dirty way to check and see if Tesla is on track with their growth trajectory. A quick fun fact from digging into these numbers, so 7% of Tesla customers lease their vehicles. It's actually been 7% every single quarter for the past 4 quarters with zero variation. Tesla actually ended this quarter with 109,000 vehicles currently under lease. That was the first time it's ever been over 100,000 vehicles. So about 3 years ago, the Financial Accounting Standards Boards, they made a change, and previously leases were considered off-balance sheet items, meaning they were kind of only listed in the footnotes. But due to some changes, FASB wanted to provide more transparency for investors and understanding companies' financials. So simply put, now leases are included as a balance sheet item. And then a few quick paradigm shifts, and then we'll move on. It's not about the amount of data that Tesla is gathering for FSD, but rather how quickly Tesla can process that data, which is where Dojo comes in. So in all of these conversations, or when other companies start talking about how much data they have, just remember, we need to take it one step further. It's not just about the quantity of data, it's how fast that company can process it, go through iterations, and then ultimately provide an update. So the goalposts have moved from amount of data to processing that data. Next up, Tesla's trip planner is a living, improving organism. They use real-time data and congestion at certain supercharger locations to reroute you to a different, less busy supercharger in real time. And Tesla is using real-world driving efficiency data to better recommend the frequency of stops for how often a user should stop to supercharge based on their specific driving efficiency. So I thought that was pretty cool too. And real quick, some of you reached out to me about watching this Elon documentary on PBS and you were unable to, so I decided to link up with a sponsor of today's episode, Surfshark, to provide a solution. Yes, Surfshark can actually make your IP address look like it's located in a different country, so you can unlock brand new content on platforms like Netflix and others. A VPN can also protect you from cyber attacks and targeting, as a VPN encrypts your online data and protects your privacy. Simply put, if you want the maximum security and privacy for your online activity, no matter where you go, whether it's the coffee shop or an airport or in the comfort of your own home, Surfshark is a great, affordable option. Surfshark is also one of the only VPNs to allow one account on an unlimited number of devices. And they have a clean web feature that will block ads, trackers, malware, and suspicious websites. So to enhance your internet experience and to secure your data, use my code ELECTRIFIED to get 83% off plus an extra 3 months free. And Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there is no risk to try it for yourself. The link is in the description below. And the answer some of us were waiting for: over 150,000 people pressed the button, and the probability of collision using over 100 million miles of data from this group is showing that this group is 30% lower, the people using the safety score, to end up in a collision. And this right here is going to be a major paradigm shift over the next decade when it comes to the gamification of your driving safety and how that will directly impact your own insurance premiums. Next up, there's a lot of discussion on Tesla's new PE ratio, which will be in the neighborhood of 120 depending on how you choose to calculate it. If you use a $900 stock price and then you annualize Tesla's Q3 non-GAAP earnings per share, which was about $1.80 per share, then that's going to lead to a $120 PE. Now, before I go any further, the PE ratio for a growth company isn't the best thing to look at, so I hesitate to talk too much about this, but just to give you guys some context, here we have a look at some PE ratios for some companies with over $1 billion market cap. So as you can see, 6,000, 4,000, 3,000, and down the list. Obviously, these are not great comparison companies for Tesla. The point here is that there are still plenty of other companies with billion-dollar market caps that have PE ratios in the thousands, so if Tesla's is at 120, it's pretty low. Perhaps a better comparison would be Amazon. You can see over the last 10 years, their PE ratio has ranged from 55 to 3,700. I think Tesla is well behind Amazon in terms of their ultimate growth trajectory. So today we have Amazon sitting at around 60 PE, historically very low for Amazon, and then Tesla in the neighborhood of 120. If you ask me at this point, Tesla stock is still undervalued. And one last thing here, so anyone that's still shouting about regulatory credits and Tesla not being profitable without them, well, one, they're uneducated and don't know what they're talking about, and two, they are an LOZER. So on a non-GAAP basis, for the last 4 quarters, Tesla has been profitable without any regulatory credits, so that argument is dead. Just remember that. So yes, Tesla had an excellent quarter. This is becoming a cash generation margin behemoth, and Tesla stock today was like 6 cents earlier today away from eclipsing $900 per share. It might fight it throughout the rest of the day. We'll wait and see, but Tesla's in an awesome place, still undervalued in terms of a long-term forecast, in my humble opinion, not financial advice. Let's move on. So there is a new fake Missy Cummings on Twitter, so just be aware of that. Elon did respond to this fake account saying, no, don't take away my FSD beta. And what a perfect segue into this email that is regarding taking away somebody's FSD beta. You're receiving this email because telemetry from your vehicle was flagged for improper usage of the FSD beta feature. So it is confirmed you can lose access to the FSD beta. Some people were saying they haven't ever seen it done. But Tesla does warn you and let you know what you're doing wrong. In this case, 2 or more strikeouts, which resulted in the loss of autopilot availability for that drive, or at least 1 strike per 3 miles or 5 kilometers driven on autopilot, which is a visual and audible warning that requires attention. This is your only warning, so be careful out there. Next up, earlier today, I tweeted out the Tesla news that we were all on the edge of our seats waiting for. Ryan Brinkman from JP Morgan, his latest Tesla price target for the end of the year, December 2022, is now $250. And so guys, look, all we can do at this point is laugh and also use it to remember that just because somebody has a certain position or a title of prestige, today it does not always translate to valuable information or intelligence. So you have to be careful, focus on the data, and do your homework. All right, so Elon was asked, is beta 10.3 still coming Friday? Elon says most likely. He was also asked, when are we getting the ability to view Sentry cameras from the Tesla app live? Elon said very soon. Owen asked Elon, can non-FSD beta users get the cool UI to look at? Elon said yes when we're out of beta. Next up, Alex on Twitter shared some Giga Berlin news. Just crazy what's happening. The online discussion of more than 800 objections to the construction of the Gigafactory of the US electric car manufacturer Tesla in Grünheide will be repeated. It appears to be a never-ending story. Long story short, it seems like these 800 objections are going to be reviewed again throughout the month of November, seemingly delaying the final approval of Berlin for manufacturing. Alex added accordingly, the new procedure should take place in the period from November 2nd to the 22nd. Saying it was unclear how administrative courts would decide in the event of a lawsuit, the ministry said for legal certainty reasons, the procedure would therefore be repeated. So certainly suboptimal. Maybe we're looking at another few weeks of a delay for that final approval from Berlin, but whatever you have to do, let's just put it to bed once and for all. We don't want any legal troubles bubbling up after manufacturing starts. So sounds like somebody made a mistake, but let's just fix it, do it, get it done, and move on. A quick note on Tesla and India. Negotiations are still ongoing. Tesla is seemingly calling for meetings to get those import duties lowered so they can test the waters with imports. Fun fact here, just 5,000 of the 2.4 million cars sold in India last year were electric. Next up, this Interbrand company apparently ranks the best global brands and their growth from year to year, and they put a valuation metric on the growth. And here's what they said about Tesla. Saw the largest rise in rankings compared to the 2020 edition of the report, climbing 26 places to number 14 with a brand worth of $36 billion. It's worth calling out Tesla's growth over the past year. A 3-figure increase in brand value is unprecedented in the past 22 years of best global brands. Tesla is a brand that epitomizes the importance of brand direction, agility, and participation, so I'm unsurprised Tesla made the biggest leap up the best global brand ranking in 2021. This from the CEO of Interbrand Global. And guys, remember, if you want to unlock new content and secure your online activity, check out Surfshark VPN, linked in the description below. And I'll send you guys off today with a 40-second clip of some new Tesla footage, specifically some of the Cybertruck. Yes, this was actually filmed with a camera or a phone of a TV on a wall, I believe in a Tesla service center, so the quality's not great, but it's new Tesla footage and we're fiends, so there you go. Please take a second to like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.